Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to From the Couch Sports Podcast. We got Peter, we got Aiden, and we are back from our fabulous trip to the Smokies. Excited to bring some content for you guys this week, and we got a lot to talk about. But
Yeah.
boys, how are you guys doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Doing well. We got a lot, like you said, to cover, so I'm excited to just get right into it.
Yeah, I'm doing good. We got some really good basketball coming up with the NBA, and then we got some golfing stuff we got to talk about, boys.
Yes, we
Oh
do.
yeah, some huge news. But first, Michigan, they are the national champions. They made it to the Final Four, won it all. Peter, obviously you were there for the Final Four with Illinois. Tell us a little bit about your experience and just your overall thoughts for the Final Four.
Yeah. I enjoyed the Final Four. It's definitely worth going if like you're a spectator. Um, Obviously Illinois lost. And I'm really bummed out about that because really, like I saw like some people like, oh, like Illinois was a fraudulent team and they shouldn't have made the Final Four. I'm like, I disagree with that heavily because number one, like Illinois just couldn't buy a bucket to save their life. Like the epitome of that game, and everyone's seen the highlight was like I think it was second half. Kylan Boswell just had a free drive to the rim off a pick and roll and went to the hoop, did a front and go roll layup. It rolls in out and stays on the back iron and then rolls off. Like I don't understand. Like 9 times out of 10, that ball's going in. But Illinois just had that one night where it's just like the ball wasn't going in. It was just rimming in and out. And then like I just felt like that Mullins kid from UConn was making everything on site. And congrats to UConn. They were phenomenal. And then I saw Michigan just absolutely pulverize Arizona that first half. I think they were up like 22 by the end of the first half, and I was like, "Yep, they're gonna win the whole thing next on Monday." But
They wiped the floor. It was insane.
yeah. Personally for me, being in my first NFL stadium, NFL stadiums are not made for basketball games. It is definitely not made for spectating and watching basketball games. I'm of the mindset, the personal belief that if you're going to be hosting a Final Four, put it in an NBA venue. Because it's a much better watching experience. Aiden, I know that in the past, we caught up at the Big Ten tournament when it was in the United Center, and that's a way better
That
viewing
23, right?
experience than, yeah, I think it was like 23, I believe. And that was a way better viewing experience than
Yeah.
like watching an NFL stadium because like that NFL stadium was like it's great if like you're watching football because it's so big, wide, all that stuff. But the problem is like when you're watching a basketball game, it's like you're basically missing almost like part of the action and like also like that Chainsmokers performance like it probably looked great on TV but like when you're like sitting in the stadium you're just sitting there like I can't see anything and the stage from where I was sitting was like on the complete far end where Michigan's student section was at and I'm just like I can't see the performance so I mean it's still a great experience but it could be a lot better.
That's why you bring your binoculars. That's what they say. Take the binoculars and be ready to watch the game through your binoculars the whole time. So
I
Right.
know. Just
that's
imagine you saw a foul from so far away. It's like that was obviously a foul. Where's the penalty right there?
Yeah, I mean, penalty. It's a
interesting.
foul. The the biggest problem I had was like uh during the Illinois game was the fact that there was like that one foul that wasn't called on Keaton Walker, where it's like the UConn player just like straight up like almost like shoved him and like grabbed the ball from him and like ripped it off and like gave it to UConn on a fast break. Where I'm like, again, like I don't think the refs decided that game. Like Illinois came back and fought, which I appreciate that the fact that the boys didn't like go out and like go out sad. Like they fought back and they got within four, but like it was already too late at that point in the game. So it's what it is. But like, hey, congrats to Michigan. They were a juggernaut and they might be probably one of the best teams to play this century for the Final Four.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Tough, obviously tough loss for Illinois. kind of exactly what I expected, and not the sense that they would lose, but Terrace Reed Jr. would have a good game. He had a double double that game. Kind of what I expected, just for him to be not necessarily maybe a game wrecker, but really someone you'd have to find a way to slow down. And you have slowed him down a little bit, but it's just hard when a guy like that's going for a double double. Obviously, Michigan, we already mentioned, blew out Arizona. No point in going over that. But then that national championship game, honestly, I feel like and I don't know if you guys would agree with this. I feel like the score is really closer than it probably should have been, because it kind of felt like Michigan kind of let off the gas there a little bit in the last minute or two when I mean it was a 4-point game at one point in that last like minute, I'm pretty sure. Like that should not have been that close, because Michigan was all gas essentially that whole game. And then they kinda just took their foot off the gas, it felt like, and let it get a little closer than it should have been. Obviously, still won by 6, so comfortable win at the end of the day. But I said it.
Aiden, is it fair to say that Michigan played their worst game of the season in the national championship game?
I would say the worst game of the playoff run. I don't know about out of the season, because they had I mean, obviously they won. I think they only lost, what,
They were
2,
0
3
of
games this
18
year?
from they were 0 of 18 from 3 at one point. Like they were shooting
Yes, but
terrible.
I wouldn't say that necessarily I wouldn't say that constitutes maybe a poor game, because they at the end of the day, they played great defense, so they made up for that with defensively. But you look at like their loss against Wisconsin earlier in the year, like that was a poor game. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
I would say yes, offensively, definitely their poorest game of probably the season, if not the tournament, or of the tournament, if not the season. Um, but I mean, I called it at the very start. You guys can go back to episode 2 or 3, whatever the first one was that we covered, the college basketball playoff and the 60-18 field. I mean, I said it from the start. Michigan was going to win this tournament, and as again, much as it hurts to say, I was a firm believer, and I was right. I mean, that it's one of the best rosters. I mean, that 7-2 Alex Mara, whatever his name is, absolute stud. I mean, and the scary thing is they're probably really just gonna keep getting better, because I don't think Lindenborg's a senior. I think he's a junior or something like that. So I think he's returning. I think Mara. I
Mara
don't
is
know.
a sophomore. I think
Yeah.
Lindenberg is a graduate student, so I think he's
Okay.
done.
Is he? So then he's done. But you
And
still
Morez
get.
Johnson Jr. is a sophomore, and I think Cadeau. I think they just announced that he's returning next
Yeah, he's
year
returning
as
because
well.
he like made a deal or whatever they said. But yeah, I mean, you're just returning essentially the same team, maybe minus one player, and it's just like that's ridiculous. How do you like? They might be going back to back, which is a
Yeah, and I
scary
think
thing.
I think they also got the starting center from Tennessee. And because I think that they're like kind of insinuating, knowing the fact that that Mara guy might be going into the NBA draft, but that roster, like if they keep like Johnson, they keep Cadeau. I think I think who's that kid like that LJ Kaysen
Yeah,
kid that got injured. If he comes back and then like you're bringing like that 7-2 guy from Tennessee, like that roster is going to be disgusting next season.
yeah. So a lot to be excited about for Michigan fans when it comes to college basketball. So
Absolutely. Yeah, they put on a phenomenal performance. And I also want to just point this out. In my bracket, I actually, with my group that I play with, I had the best bracket. And I actually took Michigan and Arizona to be in the final four in the national championship game. I'm sorry. Well, yeah,
UConn.
yeah. No, I'm sorry. I took
UConn.
UConn. Yeah, I had UConn and Michigan in the national championship game. And my point prediction was only off by 8 points. That's probably the best bracket that I've ever came up with in the history of me doing this the tournament bracket. So really, really cool, very exciting.
I
On
can't
top of
confirm I was in there.
Michigan, on top of Michigan winning their national championship, on the women's division side, UCLA won a national championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on that other than the Big Ten is the.
UCLA whooped
Oh, yeah,
South
wasn't
Carolina.
that Was that like 20
Oh,
points? Like a
it,
20-point victory,
it was
right?
like a no, it was like a 38. It was like a 30-point blowout. Or I think it was like 20 or a 30-point blowout. Mind you, I just want to keep this in perspective for our viewers that might not be familiar with women's basketball. Like
And it was
basically, like
28.
South Carolina is like basically like this like current day version of like the Kansas City
It's
Chiefs. Like they
trash.
are dominant. They keep on like bringing in new great players, and UCLA ran them out of the gym. Like straight up beat them. And mind you, like UConn got their absolute comeuppance given to them by South Carolina in the Final Four, and for UCLA to like basically go like, "What you did to UConn, we're going to do to you in the championship game." Like it was insane.
That's ridiculous. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
looking
and
at
it
the
looks like most of those games, like they were fairly well. That South Carolina UConn game, that was pretty bad. UCLA and Texas, that one's actually closer. But then, yeah, you get to that game, and it just made it look like UCLA was just the dominant force the whole tournament long. Like you probably wouldn't guess if you hadn't watched women's sports that UCLA was going to be performing like that, especially going up against the number one team in South Carolina as well.
Yeah, I think I saw a post that said that Michigan and UCLA and Indiana all winning their championships for like football, men's basketball, and women's basketball is the first time ever that a conference has won a championship in all three of those sports in the same calendar year.
Yeah, actually, I also want to hit on that same note. The Big Ten has been just rolling in general. They won field hockey, men's water polo, men's soccer, football, men's wrestling, women's hockey, women's basketball, and men's basketball. Not to mention Wisconsin was also in the men's hockey final. Michigan was in the men's hockey Frozen Four and lost. I mean, the Big Ten is doing doing some things like,
Not
and I
not
think
to
five
mention, I mean,
teams.
a lot of them are just like in the playoffs,
Yeah, I
a
think
lot
5
more than some of
teams
the other big schools.
qualified for the gymnastics play, like, they're putting together some squads, the Big Ten is. Kind of insane.
Right. And it goes back to like, a lot of these Big Ten schools, like obviously like, like some schools are gonna be like, oh, like it doesn't really matter if like we're good at like gymnastics or volleyball or, these other Olympic sports that they're great at. If they're not good at football, if they're not good at men's basketball. And I'm like, well, like again, as an Illinois fan, like they're well rounded. Like a lot of these programs that they have are really decent. Like even though Wisconsin might not be great at football right now, like their basketball program's in pretty good hands. I see like Aim pointed out, like their hockey program was in the championship game. I think that their volleyball program is also pretty respectable right now. Like again, like you can hang your hat on like building a program from certain different perspectives, but the Big Ten right now in general is like that's why they went out and got UCLA, Oregon, USC, Washington, like because they want to get not only the West Coast market to get that huge deal that they got with CBS, NBC, and Fox, but they also are just like, well, we want to like boost our like Olympic sports resume because those schools are great at like certain Olympic sports that the Big Ten in the past has not been good at.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, props to some of those sports that are not necessarily the mainstream sports like football, basketball, and baseball are. But what this clearly tells me more than anything is like these schools, they have the talent, they have the performance to be able to go out there and shine in whatever sport that may be. And it just so happens that every single one of them were all stemming from a Big Ten school. And I mean, I know this probably kicks into the whole story of NIL, and I'm sure that the NIL has changed significantly so much about the world of sports. And I don't know. I mean, to me, this makes it seem like Big Ten has really been the one that's benefited from this more than any other conference out there.
Well, it's because the SEC's been paying their players, it's just they haven't been doing it. They've been doing it a little bit, the McDonald's bag, was that, I think Florida or Tennessee, whatever, with the
Tennessee,
McDonald's bag,
Tennessee was the
yeah,
one that did it.
and, like, all that, but also on again, going back to the whole Big Ten thing, shout out to UCLA, who's number 1 in baseball, and like on a 27-game win streak, the NCAA record is 34. Like they're like on the way to breaking that. Like, yeah, when you can actually start paying your players legally and you follow the rules like the Big Ten did, and that
In
maybe
air
most of the
quotes.
time. Yeah.
In air
Sure.
quotes.
Yeah. It is interesting to see how all of a sudden the sudden shift has how much of an impact that has played.
Yeah, but I think it also helps the fact that you're in a conference that literally touches all three of the biggest markets in the United States. You have, Chicago, because obviously you have Illinois Northwestern, as well as like, if you want to throw in like Mass and Wisconsin, then, you have Ann Arbor and East Lansing that are close to Detroit. Then you have Rutgers, which is like literally a hop and a skip away from New York City. And then you have USC and UCLA, who are both in Los Angeles, which is like the biggest market outside New York. So, like, yeah, it does help the fact that I was like, hey, like, I want to be a part of a conference that, hey, like, I would love to go to a conference that has like the three biggest markets and I can get more notoriety and more money than if I went to, let's say, you go to Georgia and like, yeah, you have the Atlanta market, but like outside of football, it's like they don't really care and invest as much as, like a UCLA in their women's basketball program, where they don't care as much as, you know, uh, like South Carolina and their women's basketball program. It's like things like that. Like certain like the SEC is just not like progressing enough in this day and age because they don't have that revenue money.
Shout out to the SEC though in baseball, because they do absolutely cook in baseball. So
True.